So I tend to not listen to any new metal or anything. So I'm still King Diamond, Metallica, stuff like that.
77.6.
It's nice. There's still 20 of us that are like, woo!
77.6.
And I still, like, even though, you know, I don't listen to it as ardently as I used to, it's still the barometer of what is best in life. So, you know, if something is amazing, it's like, that's metal! And so metal is always with me every day, because there's always some point during the day where I'm like, that is so metal.
Thanks, kid.
Thank you. Right on. All right. Let's dive into the other half, because I brought some guests with me, man. Last year, ladies and gentlemen, I was up here on stage, and I was telling you about, like, I had just done this podcast, Smodcast episode 259, and in it we had talked about this weird ad that was running on the internet about this guy who was like, come live in my house, and I'll give you free room and board so long as you dress up like a walrus. And so it captured my imagination. I was like, holy shit. And you can hear it on podcast 259 of Smodcast, episode 259. You can hear us talk about this thing, and it goes into this blithe conversation about, oh, this sounds fucking weird. Do you think this is true? And oh my God, this sounds like a horror movie. Like, I would not do this, because you're going to get there. Guy's going to hit you over the head, sew you into that suit, and you become the human walrus, just like the human centipede, but cuddlier, you know? So you can hear the episode, you can hear me like talk myself into it. I get very excited and whatnot. And by the end of the episode, I was like, this could work, man. I was like, I'd just seen The Purge, that movie The Purge, and I was like, hey man, The Purge was fucking stupid and that worked. Like, why can't this work? A movie about a guy who tries to turn another guy into a walrus, man. And me and Scott like sat there making it up, and really we were just trying to make each other fucking laugh and shit. But at a certain point, like, you can hear my wheels turn where all of a sudden I fall in love with the idea of this movie. And I get so sad in the middle of the podcast because I realize nobody's gonna make that movie and shit. And then I get excited because I was like, I used to be a filmmaker, maybe I could make that movie. So in the podcast I had said, like, if you think this is a good idea, if you think I should pursue this, man, write this as a script and see this movie, hashtag is walrus yes. And if you think it's stupid and I'm wrong for doing this, the hashtag is walrus no. And so I put it out there and stuff, we put the episode out there, people listened to it. The morning after the episode went up, there were like thousands of walrus yes, and only one walrus no. And the walrus no guy was just like, I feel like for the democratic process, I should say no. So his shit was half-hearted, man. So he was really walrus yes. So I was like, fucking hey, man, people want to see this movie. And I realized I was into the same vibe that I'd had that made Clerks. Like, there was a point where I was going to independent films and I loved them and shit. Didn't think about making them myself, but just loved cinema. But it had gotten to a place where I was like, I love comedies, but I never see my kind of comedy represented. I never see my friends up there. I never see like my world where we sit around and talk about Star Wars and pussy and shit like that. Sorry to Mary Kate. You know, like, I don't see ourselves reflected. And then I was like, you know what? You can do it. Why don't you just make that movie? Nobody's gonna make a movie about you and your friends except you. You're the only one, so do it. And that's what made Clerks happen, and Clerks started the rest of my life. So I'm here today because of that movie. Years later, I'm sitting there going like, someone should make this fucking walrus movie. And I realized, like, nobody's ever gonna make this walrus movie because it's fucking dumb. Really fucking dumb. The only person stupid enough to make it is you, Kevin Smith, you know? So I was like, fuck it, man, maybe I should just try it, give it a shot. And so I started writing the script, man, and it came pretty damn naturally. I set very, very specific boundaries for myself. I was like, what would make me want to go back to a movie set? Because I hadn't done it in like 3 years, not since Red State. I walked away and I was doing podcasts and comic book man and stuff like that. So I was like, what would make me go back? And I was like, Michael Parks. I loved Michael Parks in Red State. I loved watching him act and shit. I would go back and make a movie if Michael Parks was on the set. And I was like, okay, Michael Parks could be the guy that's like, dress up like a fucking walrus. So I was like, beautiful. That would make me go to a set, see a movie where Michael Parks is forcing somebody else to dress up like a walrus. Fuck you, take my money right now, you know? So I started writing it, and it came so easily. I didn't set it in England, which is where the original ad was. I set it in Canada, because I was writing this Hit Somebody miniseries, and I was chock-a-block full of Canadian history, and some of it was not useful to hit somebody. Hit Somebody takes place from 1950 to 1980, so it's 30 years of Canadian history. Not everything fits into the miniseries. So I had all this like useful shit that was interesting, but nowhere to put it. So I was like, I'm gonna set the movie in Canada, and suddenly I can access all this weird lore and treat Canada like the Texas of North America or something like that. Like just a land of mystery and wonder where weird fucking evil things could happen, because everyone's always like, oh, Canadians are so nice. I'm like, bullshit, they're evil, you know? So I was like, make a Canadian horror movie, just write it. That way, if nothing happens to it, who gives a shit? Like, I wasn't invested to the point where I was like, if this doesn't happen, we're all screwed. This needs to happen. Like Clerks 3, I was trying to will it to happen last year, or this year rather, in 2014, like while it was the 20th anniversary. And in trying to make it happen, it did not happen at all. It's not gonna happen until 2015. The moment I let go of it, that's the moment it fucking started happening. You cannot force shit until it's ready to go. So instead of forcing it with Tusk, I was just like, the moment it becomes difficult, I will put it down and not play with it anymore. But until it becomes too hard, I'm gonna keep pushing this, Whimsy, because why the fuck not? One day I'm gonna die, and I don't want to be on my deathbed going, why didn't I make that walrus movie? I want to be on my deathbed going, I'm the motherfucker that made the walrus movie. And that is metal. So, you know, I was like, fuck it, I'll keep pushing this Whimsy forward. If it moves, if it becomes something, so be it. So I wrote a script. I came up here like shortly after I'd written the script. It was the Hall H panel last year. And I told everybody during that panel, you could watch it on YouTube and stuff, I was just like, I was talking to a production company about actually making this, man. I think we're gonna go forward with it. And then people were happy, but a lot of people online afterwards were like, it's true, he does smoke too much weed now. He's out of his fucking mind and stuff. So I just kept pushing Whimsy just a little bit, never forcing it, never too hard, just going, let's see if this works. Finished the script, I was like, I like this. First showed the pages to my wife Jennifer, and generally she doesn't really get into a lot of the stuff I do, but this she was like, I want to see where this is going. She's like, this is really fucking weird. Does he really turn him into a walrus? I was like, I don't fucking know. She said, how'd you get this far? I said, I went into my room, I put on Fleetwood Mac's Tusk over and over and over, smoked a shit ton of weed, this happened, you know? So she's like, well, I need to know where it goes. And I was like, all right. And I went back and I kept writing, and then I'd feed her more pages, and she was like, well, this over here, this is badass. I want to see where it goes. And when it was all done, she's like, this is the best thing you've ever done. And I was like, isn't it? It's weird, man, because it should be good, because it's dopey, it's goofy, it's based on this fucking idea about like, there's a man who wants to turn another man into a walrus. You know, there's fucking nothing scary about it. But somehow the script like really worked out. So I was like, I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna send it to Parks and see what he thinks. And Parks was like, does it pay? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm in. We hung up. And then slowly I kept building it, putting the cast together, found money from this company called Demarest, got ourselves a fantastic producer in this dude, David Greathouse. Shannon McIntosh was riding shotgun with me to get the movie as far as it was, man. Jason Mewes, his wife Jordan Monsanto. It was a real like kind of family affair where everyone wasn't hell-bent for leather, like we gotta do this, but we're like, let's see if it'll work. And 6 months after the day we recorded that podcast, I was sitting on a set going, action, and Justin Long was dressed up like a fucking walrus, man. So it just proves that you could push Whimsy. Now a lot of people are like, you could push Whimsy because you made fucking Clerks and you're in the movie business. But ladies and gentlemen, a few years ago, I burned my career to the fucking ground, man. Like I went on the Sundance stage and I was like, I'm out of here, fuck you. And nobody would work with me for fucking years and shit. So I was something of a pariah and whatnot. So I had salted the earth, so it wasn't easy for me to do, man. But there was something special about that podcast, because I read the reaction on Twitter, and there was one tweet really hit me hard in the heart, man, where somebody was like, is that it? Is that how simple it is to start? There's some people out there don't know how to take that first fucking step that so many of us take for granted. Don't even know how to put that much together. And the fact that they heard us on a podcast, me and my friend, goofing off, talking about like, yeah, man, and then the dude stitched into a walrus costume, and then me going, oh, I wrote a script for it. They saw the process. For the first time, they got to see something that like I take for granted all the time. But they're like, I didn't know that part. They found it fascinating. People wanted to know more. So I kept open sourcing it, man. I kept like putting everything under that hashtag of Walrus Yes, letting people know what we were doing, sending pictures out on Instagram and whatnot, because the audience was so much a part of it. By everybody going Walrus Yes, it was just enough confidence for me to kind of step forward and start writing. And I understand when the internet is just like, yes, do something, that's not necessarily a vote of confidence. They just want to see you fuck up more often than not. But really, you know, it's kind of like when you're at a party and you're all drunk and you're like, I want to take my fucking dick out. And your friends are taking their cameras out and they're like, do it, do it. You're so funny. So it didn't matter though. The fact that anyone thought it might be a good idea, I was like, I'm going to keep pushing it forward. And boom, we were on a set shooting a movie. So it's a year after that podcast first went up, man. And we have a full picture and the movie comes out on September 19th. The movie is called Tusk. And tonight I'm going to show you the trailer for the very first time anywhere, right here. And then afterwards I'm going to bring up the kids, man, and chit-chat with them for a while and then send you guys out into the Comic-Con night, man. This is a big moment for me because it's just one of those things where I'm like, fuck, this easily could have died in the podcast. This easily could have been an idea where I didn't take that first step, man. But because you all, many of you, maybe not all of you in this room, but a lot of you and a lot of people listening and whatnot, said hashtag, took the fucking time, 10 seconds, 15, a minute out of your day to say, fuck yeah, Walrus, yes, I'd see that movie. We actually fucking made that movie. So I proudly share with you, ladies and gentlemen, a trailer for what I feel is like the best movie I ever made. Let's look at Tusk.